Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia, where we love making wreaths. With me today is my sidekick Louie, looking all handsome as always. And in today's video, we are going to be making one of the most economical wreaths that I make when it comes to deco mesh. We are going to be using one roll of 10-inch deco mesh, that's by 10 yards, and we are going to make a layered poof wreath. This is going to be so much fun. If you're looking for a wreath that's easy, that's fun, that's easy on your wallet, keep on watching. Let's go through the supplies of this wreath. I'm going to start with a 10-inch roll of deco mesh that is 10 yards in length. Usually for this type of wreath, I like to use up that decorative mesh that's going to be pretty on the base of the wreath, and you're not going to worry about any of that decor fraying. A pack of pipe cleaners. When it comes to ribbon, I'm going to be using a 1.5 wired sage green ribbon. I got this one at SamsClub. And then this beautiful 2.5-inch wired sunflower ribbon that I got at HobbyLobby. For our unique element, we're going to be using this jute cord mesh ribbon. I got this one at CraftOutlet. This roll is 10 yards in length. For a bit of decor, I'm going to be using these beautiful little sunflowers that I got on Temu. I'll add a link in the description box below. I will need some zip ties. We're also going to be using this Happy Fall sign, which is metal. It has 2 holes at the top. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make one at the bottom now using a crocodile. I'm going to use the smaller of the 2 punch holes. And I'm just going to punch it right at the bottom. Did you see how easy that was? This sign measures 6 inches by 12 inches in height. For our wreath base, I'm going to be using a metal 14-inch wreath form. Last but not least, a steering wheel cover. I'm going to start by getting our pipe cleaners attached, and I'm going to use an 18 pipe cleaner method. The way I like to do this is I like to work a section at a time. We have 6 sections times 3 pipe cleaners per section. That's how I get my 18. Taking my first pipe cleaner, I'm going to put it on rows 1 and 2. Twist twice, and I'm going to pull it towards the inside of our wreath form. The second and third pipe cleaners are going to go to the sides of the center one. I usually like to do rows 3 and 4. Today I'm actually going to do row 2 and 3, but I'm going to tie it on row 3. The reason I do this is because I want to use a steering wheel cover at the end of the wreath to cover the back of it, and I want this last row for my steering wheel to catch on. That's why I'm going to be using row 2 and 3, and just make sure that I tie it on row 3. 2 tight twists, and all the pipe cleaners on this outside row are going to face out. Now I'm just going to repeat the process going all the way around. Our pipe cleaners are all on. I have 6 on the inner row and 12 on the outer row. Now it's time to attach our beautiful deco mesh. The first thing I'm going to do, bring it together at the end, about 2 inches in, and I'm going to start by attaching it on one of the inside pipe cleaners. 2 twists. Before we attach our deco mesh, let's chat about how we're going to do this. Since we're using 10-inch deco mesh, but we have 10 yards, we have enough to double our wreath. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go around each row twice. Starting with the inside row, we're going to go around 1 time, making 10-inch loops, and then go around a second time, making 10-inch loops. That way our poofs are going to be double the size and nice and poofy. Then we're going to go nice and flat from the inside row to the outside row. We'll connect a little bit with a zip tie. That is definitely not mandatory, but I like to do that to ensure that my pipe cleaners are not going to be moving around too much between the rows. So then on the outside row, I'm going to make 9-inch loops. I'm going to go all the way around twice. When doing this, I do like to keep my deco mesh nice and taut just to make sure I have enough for the entire wreath because we are going to use up the entire roll. First things first, 10-inch loops going all the way around the inner row. I went around the inner row once, but before I move on, did anybody notice me miss something in the beginning? Yes, zip tying my tail. Oh my goodness. So I'm attaching a zip tie about 1 inch from where my little tail connected, where we started basically. And I'm going to zip tie to the second row. I don't like zip tying to the outside rows too much. It's just nicer when you take care of that on rows 2 or 3. Let's cut that off. And now your tail is nicely secured. Now that we went around the inner row once making our poofs, it's time to do it again. But this time we're going to choose whether we want to make our next poof go right next to it or go right over it like this. I decided to make my poofs next to the other poofs and we attach. Making my last loop on the inner row. Look how beautiful that is. If you would like, you could poof it out now. If not, you can poof everything out a little bit later when you're done going around the outer row. But these are just so pretty. I wanted to poof these out. Now I'm going to go nice and flat to the outside row. Give it a twist or two. Grab a zip tie and zip tie this little section in place. I'm zip tying it to row 3. And now I'm going to make 9-inch loops going around twice. Making my last loop going around once. And then now I'm about to go around the second time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the poofs that I've already made. Put in that second one. I'm still going to be doing 9-inch loops. I decided just to straighten it out as I'm going along. That way it'll be all done. But look how poofy this wreath is coming out already. Let's move it to the side, attach, and poof out. I am about to make my last loop. Cut off the tail. This is all I have left from the deco mesh. After attaching my loop, I'm going to take my tail and send it to the back. Taking a zip tie, and I'm going to zip tie it on row 3. And actually, you know, we're very close to an intersection here, so why not just zip tie it on an intersection and make sure that that tail is moving nowhere. Cut off a little bit more and then just shove that tail on the inside. Here's where we started. Then our transition was right there, and there is that zip tie and where we ended. Our wreath is beautiful and full, but now we're going to do something different. And yes, I kind of could have done it as I was going along, but I wanted to make sure that I gave this jute a lot of slack. Because this is jute cord, I'm going to just bring it together, attach it to one of the inside pipe cleaners, making loops. I want this to be big. Now let's see how big I made this one. And it looks like I made it 12 inches. So you know what, at this point, if you want to kind of make them all even, measure off approximately 12 inches and attach it to the next pipe cleaner. Basically, I'm going to go around the wreath doing this. I know you can't tell. I know you can't see. But when we get our ribbon in, this is going to show, I promise. I'm done attaching to the inner row, and as you can see, they are poofing out, and you can definitely see them when you see the wreath in person. I think it might be blending on camera. Here, we're going to do the same thing as when we're making poof wreaths. We are going to go nice and flat to the outside pipe cleaner, attach, and then I'm going to continue making those beautiful 12-inch to 14-inch loops. I am really being generous with this because I want it to show up, and basically I'm working with yellow on yellow. Making my last loop with this mesh. Oh my goodness, my friends. This wreath is going to be something else with this poofy jute ribbon mesh. Let me give you a side view. They are quite large. Next, let's cut the ribbon up and attach our ribbon bundles. For my ribbon, I'm going to be cutting it into 11-inch strips, and I'm going to zigzag it up. I was very tempted to do 12-inch strips because of the jute loops that we made, but for this type of wreath, I usually like to do 11-inch strips, and we're going to need 18 of these. When I'm done zigzagging, I'm going to go ahead, take the sides, fold them in half, cut out a little triangle, and we're going to make dovetails this way. Next, I'm going to grab this beautiful green ribbon, and I'm also going to cut it into 11-inch strips. I'm going to need 18 of these. And just like the first ribbon, I'm going to fold my edges in half and cut little triangles. The ribbon is all cut up, so let's make our ribbon bundles. I'm just going to take the 2.5 inch, the 1.5 inch, collect in the center and attach. We're going to twist about 1 inch from the connection, cut off the excess, fold and fold back. Since we made 18 pieces of each ribbon, we're going to attach 1 set to each pipe cleaner. All the ribbon bundles are on, but I didn't lay them out yet. Now I'm going to attach my sign, but before I do that, I like to make room for it. And so wherever I decide to put it, I kind of like to make a little bit of space, move things out a little bit so we know where to attach it. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to take this jute cord that's attached to the sign, and we're actually going to make a hanging loop with this in just a minute. But before that, let's get our wire, and I'm using just a white floral wire. I'm going to cut about 14-inch little pieces, and I'm going to need 3 of these for this sign. Let's attach. I always do a few tight twists in the back. Sneak it in here and let's attach. The sign is in a great place, so I'm going to just lock in that floral wire. Now that our sign is attached, I'm going to make sure I see the top of the sign, flip it over, and then we're going to attach a jute cord. I'm just attaching it on row 2 right in the center. Make a knot or 2, and then I'm going to pull it from the front of the wreath just like this, and that's because we want to cover the back and we want to make sure that we have access to our hanging loop. Now I'm going to take my steering wheel cover, and then I'm going to give it a lot of good stretches. Nice and strong here. If you have someone to help you with this next part, that's awesome. If not, what I like to do is just loop it over the 4th row, the most outer row of our wreath. If you have maybe a clamp you can put that's really tight, that might be a great idea. Otherwise, I'm going to hold with one hand, with the other one I'm going to stretch, or just use 2 hands like I ended up using here. I love the way the steering wheel cover looks in the back, and the reason we needed that 4th row to be empty is so that we have a good hook with the steering wheel cover. And look at that. Nice and pretty. Our hanging loop is right there. And now we can go around the wreath and make sure that all our ribbon bundles are beautifully open. Our mesh is really in the center of attention because it's so big and beautiful. If you can cover the little holes in your sign, definitely do that right now. You can do it with ribbon. And now I'm going to go around and just make sure that all my ribbon is laid out beautifully. Do you remember the flowers I was going to use? Give it a lot of hot glue right there in the center. And then I'm going to put it right there on my sign and give it a little bit of a 3D effect. I'm going to put a few on here and there. I'm not going to put it on every little bundle, but I want it to show up sporadically. Now let's attach this one somewhere. What do you guys think? Maybe here? I'm going to continue attaching my little sweet sunflowers in a few more ribbon bundles. And that is it for our beautiful sunflower wreath. I hope you enjoyed this wreath tutorial. I love the way this very elegant fall wreath turned out. If you are new to wreath making and are not subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up so this video keeps on growing, and so do we. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in our next video. Bye bye, my sweet friends. Mwah! Mwah!